All right, all right. Hey, hello again, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Glad you guys can take a little bit of time out of your day to hang out with us for a little bit. This is going to be the last session for this 10-part series that Sean and I put together on the emotion series. Tonight, we're going to be talking about energy. And it's pretty interesting. The things that, again, once we start diving into this and we start finding out we start going down these paths that we kind of anticipated, some we didn't anticipate. But again, finding some really good information, and we're going to share some oils and stuff about it tonight, and some other things that we need to take on and think about personally and internally when it comes to what we want to do with our energy, and how to kind of improve that energy and stay focused and have that energy, really. So everybody here knows me, they know Sean, so we're going to go ahead and just skip the introduction part. Sean, I am going to jump right into the slideshow if you are ready to go.
Yeah, and you'll have to give me
I will do that.
control capabilities.
We're going to share the screen. We're going to do that.
Looking at that title slide there, it makes me dizzy with all those loops.
I know that was a good picture.
Yeah.
All right, I gave you control.
Okay.
Remote control, Sean. And you have co-host. So there we go.
Great. And
all right,
to move to presentation mode.
We are, come on. We're off. All right, here we are. Sean, what made you decide to, when you were trying to find the different slides or trying to make a title slide, what was it that kind of drew your attention to this one?
Because life is a lot of ups and downs. And what I liked about this one is the negative emotions are towards the left and the more positive emotions are towards the right, which has been our mainstay when we get into the emotional guidance scale.
Mm-hmm.
And life literally is not just a flat line. We have these ups and downs, and sometimes it spins us around in a big loop like this. While I liked my hot air balloon that was very colorful, that also had the emotions, it's like, yeah, but that doesn't convey the message as strong as this image did.
Yeah, you did a good job of picking this image.
Well, thank you.
So sure. Of course, with everyone, we want to start off with this little declaration that we say, it's not our intent, nor are we in any way attempting to diagnose, cure, advise, or prescribe for any kind of disease, ailment, injury, pain, or other condition, mental or physical, real or imaginary. This is simply, again, just information that we have found that has been useful for us. And we just want to pass this information on to you and hope that it works for you, or at least gives you an idea of a direction to go into and things to try, so you can get into a better place yourself or with your family. So with that being said, Sean, go ahead and take off.
Great, thank you. And again, to everybody that have been trickling in, thank you for coming in. So energy, we know that it's a production of physical change within a system that has the capacity for doing work, or that's what Merriam-Webster says. However, with our human body, energy is in a number of forms. We eat food to give our cells energy so that they can do their jobs. We have that emotional energy which we're going to talk about tonight. And of course, we do physical work, which requires energy. When I was looking at this slide, it's a special photography that shows when we are experiencing different emotions, how our bodies reflect that with special temperature photography. And the one that jumped out at me the most was depression. And if you are familiar with the Harry Potter series, you know about the Dementors, which come and just suck the life out of you. Well, that's exactly what depression does. And that one just, when I saw that, I'm thinking, I understand where J.K. Rowling came up with depression or the Dementors. I mean, it is a form of depression. It just sucks the ever-loving life out of you. But look at happiness and love and how full the body is of energy. There were a number, those were the ones that really struck out at me. But anger, look at how just dead center that is. And we often know that people who have significant heart attacks preceding that had bouts of anger. And I found that correlation kind of very interesting. And I'm not advancing the way I like to.
Well, it said it's waiting for you, but I will advance.
Okay, great. Thank you. I know they did a system update, so who knows? So anyhow, in our previous discussions, we've talked about cognitive behavioral therapy, where our thoughts create feelings, feelings create behaviors, those behaviors create thoughts and starts up this vicious cycle. And a scientist by the name of P.L. Chang talked about our words put this energy in motion. And I love this meme, and it's widely spread around that words cast spells. That's why it's called spelling. Words are energy, so we need to use them wisely. I did an experiment with my new high school students, and I gave them each a word. Some were positive and some were negative. And then I said for them to look at one another. And I said, I want you to focus in on that word. And I gave them a few moments. And then I had the person sitting opposite of them saying, is this a positive or negative word that they're saying? And try to guess what the word was. And I had about a 40% accuracy rate, but as far as the word, as far as picking up the negative and the positive, it was well into the 80% range, which was kind of compelling. It's like, wow. So we got everybody upbeat and had a great class. Now, there was a gentleman by the name of Bruce Taino, and he did a lot of work. He started out in biologicals and then developed a company for seeds. And then he explored like, well, there has to be more to this. And like me, very inquisitive. And he started finding out that there is energy to everything. And one of the things that he identified was our essential oils do have energy. And now he paired up with the Young Living Company, but the same would be true for us, probably even a little bit better, because we know that we're certified pure therapeutic grade. However, when we speak a negative word, what it does to our baseline energy system, it drops us 12 megahertz. And we'll talk about the hertz cycles a little bit later. But if we speak about something positively, it increases our energy level by 10 megahertz. And when we go into that meditative prayer or meditation, we increase our energy by 15 megahertz. All right, so that's great. That's theory, but is it tangible? And so that's where Dr. Masaru Emoto came into place. And he started looking at water crystals. And what he did with electron microscopy is by saying something to water, and he has hundreds of photographs of both positive as well as negative images. And what the bottom line is that when you say something very positive or enlightening to the water, you get this very pristine, orderly structure, such as you see on the far right there. Thank you. But if you give something that is very negative oriented, such as you disgust me, it's disorganized and there's no symmetrical pattern. And remember, our bodies are approximately 70% water. So if we are ingesting negative energy, whether it be our thoughts or somebody says something negative to us, it's going to put our cellular water into these structures. And we're going to see a little bit later that these energy of the words and our emotions can have lifelong impacts. Next slide, please. So brings us into this, which is Dr. David Hawkins. Now, he is an MD PhD, and he started exploring and wanted to see something. And what he noticed is that patients who had very negative outlooks on life tended not to do very well. Their recoveries were halted, or there would be premature deaths. But patients who had positive outlooks did very, very well. And so he started plotting this out, and he used a logarithmic base 10 scale. And I'm not going to get into the science of that. But what he has found is that positive emotions are very powerful, and they're very productive for us. And anything that has a negative connotation to it winds up being a force and is draining. Essentially, what he found is anything less than a 200 value of a 200 frequency will start to cause cellular death. And that's really concerning, because take a look at those emotions. And many of us struggle with these lower emotional levels. And needless to say, it's not good for us, and it can shorten our lifespans. The other thing that was noticed is that a lot of people who are functioning in these lower frequencies often have some sort of an unresolved issue. So it might be a childhood trauma, it might be a current relationship trauma, or it might be an accident that we were in and we just can't get over it. We just play it over and over and over again in our brains, whether it's our fault or not. Or we've talked in previous sessions where we block an emotion because we don't want to deal with it because it hurts like heck. And by blocking that, it forces our energy levels to drop into those lower frequencies, which then sets us up for a failure. Next slide, please. Angelo, it's yours.
Yeah, I'll take this one. So before we dive into the oils that can help with this stuff, we always refer to this emotional guidance scale because like Sean was saying in that opening slide, the heavy emotions on the left, the lighter emotions are on the right. And we want to have those lighter emotions. And sometimes it's just we're in a dark spot or we're not in a good spot. And even if implementing some of the things that we talk about here or using some of the oils, we want to be careful that we don't set ourselves up for failure with unrealistic expectations, right? We want to make sure that our growth is slow and proper and that we're solid with that growth. We don't want to expect ourselves to go from feeling very discouraged and angered on the left and think, okay, I want to get all the way over to positive expectations and belief and happiness, to make that one leap, that's not going to happen. So just remember to take the small wins as you continue to learn and grow and implement these things, and as we try to get through our lives on a regular basis, right? Just so don't set yourselves up for that failure.
And the other thing to remember is, and we're going to hit this point again a little bit later, is we need to have those negative emotions in order for us to understand how to cope when bad things happen to us. And that's life. We have those down periods. And by appreciating them and learning how to work with them and those emotions, it makes us able to get over onto that right side, or the more positive emotions, quicker and stronger.
Yeah, right. Definitely, Sean. We got to learn sometimes how to cope with failure and disappointment and how to deal with that. And it just makes us a little bit stronger, right? So here's some of the things that I was looking at on the emotions wheel. There's a handful of oils, and you can see kind of at a quick glance, there's a lot of citrus type oils, right? So we know that, as generically speaking, citrus oils always help us with boosting our mood, right? We're elevating our mood. There's some other oils I thought were pretty interesting in this group. You know, if you're looking you want a little bit of zest in life, like grab the lime oil, right? This is going to help us be engaged. It helps you be courageous, and it kind of helps with your focus and determination. You know, you can look at dill oil. Dill helps you stay engaged. It helps us be motivated. There's a handful of others here, but we're going to talk specifically about a few of those. Basil is the one I wanted to kick it off with, because you guys are probably familiar with this oil, but this oil is known as the renewing or the renewed oil. We know we can use it aromatically, topically, and internally, and there's some suggestions there on the left. But if your heart needs a little bit of strength and your mind needs a little bit of relaxation, you know, maybe we're just feeling just fatigued, or we just kind of don't have the energy. Maybe we're a little bit overwhelmed, or you know what, life is just too difficult right now and the stressors are just unreal. This would be a good oil to grab, because it's going to help kind of renew this. It's going to help with that mental strain. And especially, you know, when you just don't have the energy. My mom used to have the saying, I'm sure you guys have heard this, she said, my get up and go kind of got up and went, right? And when you're feeling like you don't have that energy, you need that extra boost, basil would be a great oil to grab for this. It's really helpful also in recovering those kind of negative habits, whatever those negative habits are. But what it's doing is you're helping increase the natural energy, and this gives you better balance and it gives you better health. You can see the positive properties there. It's energizing, it's renewed. I really like that burnout blend. When I first saw that, I grabbed those 3 oils and I took the caps off and I just put them together in my hand and I kind of wafted under my nose. That was fabulous. That was a fabulous smell. I'm a big fan of Aroma Touch anyway. Elaine loves it too. But when you add that basil and that wild orange, and you can use it any way that it's listed there. If you want to put it in a diffuser, put it in a roller ball, or just kind of put some drops in your hands. Those are some different options for you.
I noticed you have, go back a slide. I noticed these internally 1 to 2 drops underneath the tongue. I tried that and that kind of burned. Would you consider maybe putting some FCO in before you put that in to cut that? I do like how it kicks in a lot quicker.
Yeah.
But to me, that basil is one of the hotter oils.
It is a little bit considered one of the warmer oils, so that is something to think about. Some people may consider just putting it directly into a capsule. One of my, if you don't have capsules, one of my favorite ways to take oils internally, under the tongue, sometimes the taste is not what you want or what you're expecting. But if you just take a 1 ounce, like a 1 ounce about 1 ounce of water and put your oils in there, and then swish it up a little bit, and then take a quick drink. That's a great way to take them as well. And you will get some of the oil residual on the sides of the glass, so you can just fill up the glass again or put some more water in it and take another swig. But I find it better using it in water or in a capsule, because some of the oils, I just really don't like the taste of them.
True that.
Yeah. So here's an oil that I think this came out with the 2021 convention kit. This oil isn't readily available. It's not for sale on doTERRA website, but I think this is an oil that everybody needs to get. If you are interested in obtaining one of these, get with me after this session and I'll show you how to go about getting one, or point you in the direction where you can go. If you have this oil and not sure how to use it, I would start looking into it, because it has so many physical and emotional aspects where it can help. What I liked about this oil is it's the uninhibited flow, right? So check out the little video of the guy doing hurdles, right? If you ever had that day where you just can't get in line, you can't sync up, everything is you're not firing on all cylinders, and you're not in your flow. We get extremely frustrated when that happens. When that happens, our energy level goes down. You guys have been in a situation where you're in the zone, you're in the flow, and you're locked on, and you're just knocking things out. The energy level is a lot higher. When we're able to stay focused, when we're able to stay in that zone, the energy is there. And this can help if you got a little bit of tension and you're just trying to, you can't get the energy flowing right. Throw some Devon on, throw it on the back of your neck, on your wrists. They're a great place to use them. This is a really good oil that helps in a wide range of the sacral chakra issues and imbalances. If you're feeling like you're being maybe held back, or you're trying to suppress something, this oil may help you realize what it is that what you're holding back. It really helps clearly invite what will serve and better enhance your life. And it helps get rid of those things that just kind of weaken us or drain us. It's that low energy that we just don't need, right? So this is something that you can work really well with. It works really well with jasmine and rose, or frankincense, magnolia, copaiba. I wasn't able to find any diffuser blends or anything like that to go with it. This already comes diluted in a roller ball. I think topically is one of the best ways that you could use this. And it helps with you getting back into your flow. It helps you staying confident. And it helps that creativity stay locked in, and you keep on going. I found Zendocrine interesting because when we look at Zendocrine, we think of this is an oil for detox, right? We're talking about detoxing our body, getting some impurities out of our body. Well, we can also detox our emotions, right? When we look at Zendocrine, this is the oil of vitality and transition. Now, vitality is kind of a juicy or spicy word, right? There's a lot of things that are associated with that. You can see the list there. And when we live our lives with vitality, we are more energized. We're a great person to hang around with, and people enjoy being around you. You can see some of the different uses. You can use this internally as well. But topically, you want to maybe use this over your solar plexus or in the middle of the back or the bottoms of your feet. But this oil is really good because it assists in those times of transition. It helps detox those old habits or those old limiting beliefs, and it helps you persevere. Kind of reawakens you. It gives you a little bit more vitality, a little bit life energy. And it helps discover this new energy. And again, it helps detoxify or remove some of those emotional toxins. And again, back to those limiting beliefs, behaviors, and lifestyles. If we can remove those, this makes you better, put you in a better spot, and you're able to receive more. You're in a better opportunity to receive. And this kind of gives you a new perspective of life and embraces those new experiences as they come about. So that transition, we can detox our mental state and our old habits and kind of pave the way for those new experiences. If you want to become enthusiastic and helpful, you see the other things there on the list. If you want to help conquer some things, this is a really good oil to use. And I think using it over our solar plexus is going to be where it can do the most benefit for using that oil. Now I cheated again. I brought this oil in from one of our previous lectures, one of our previous classes that we did. And because yes, it was on the list, but I really wanted, as I was looking at it, what I really wanted to do was focus in on this last one. Your lemon myrtle oil provides powerful lift, and it revitalizes the energy system, enabling you to intentionally choose that vibration energy that you are attuned to. It kind of makes you focus in and hone in on those good vibes. And it's going to help you stay focused. We know that if we stay focused, we have clear mind. If we have clear mind, then the energy is there. And this is going to help us shift into that and stay energized. Couple other oils you can consider. Again, I'm bringing these back. Citrus oils, staying focused, stay engaged. The energy's there. Basically, that's what both of these oils provide. Having the ability to keep yourself focused, keep yourself locked on what you have to do, the task at hand, if you will. And if you stay focused on that, if you stay in that zone, these oils are going to help kind of keep that energy flowing. And I think what I like about these two oils too is, well, one, it's the Thinker oil is from one of the kids pack blend. But again, you don't have to be a kid to use it. These work for everybody. It's already pre-diluted, and you can just, again, put some on the back of the neck, maybe the temples, and bottoms of the feet, or on the wrists. Those are great places to use any kind of roller ball. But these oils are going to help you stay focused. As far as the affirmations go, again, this isn't something that you can just haphazardly say or half believe when you say it. You got to be intentional when you say this. You have to stay focused on what you're saying. And you should repeat this 3 times, because as we're saying this, as we're saying them out loud, we're hearing ourselves, and we're picking up the energy, and we're picking up the vibe, and we're inside and outside. We're mentally making that shift to get into that better spot, to stay focused. And these are just a few of the things that I have found as I was poking around. You can go in, there's a lot of places you can go and find affirmations, but what I found as I was poking through for this is, save their energy, reserved for the things and the people and the experiences that truly matter. Focus your energy there. We know we have all lost energy or spent energy on things or on people that it wasn't worth it. So focus on the things that are important to you. If you fail, if I fail, I will fail forward. Oftentimes people think of failure as a setback, but we all know we have to take something positive away from that. Even if it's whatever you encountered, whatever you did, you just look back and you go, okay, never going to do that again. That's what you learn from that. But you got to take the small wins from those moments where it didn't turn out the way you wanted it to. The 4th one there, I'm smart enough, I'm strong enough, and I'm talented enough to accomplish anything I set my mind to. We so often don't give ourselves enough credit. We're not good at blowing our own horn. And we often think, if I can't do it, you're right, you can't. If I can do it, you're right, you can. It's mindset, right? Stay positive. Positive attracts positive, and that's going to keep you in that better spot, and it's going to keep that energy flowing, and it's going to keep that energy level high. Back to you, Sean.
Thank you. So as I said earlier, we have these energy cycles and we measure them in hertz. And basically it's from one point to a peak to peak, or trough to a trough. When you have one of those that occurs in a second, that is a hertz. Now, when you start getting multiple hertz, we would wind up with this big number. So in the paper, we talk about how we have prefixes such as kilo and mega, etc. Now, what's important is that we measure energy in frequencies, or this hertz. Think about music. Music is a form of energy. And when we listen to music, does it not set a tone? Think about watching a movie. There's always music playing in the background. So we're coming out of horror season with Halloween. So when that killer is coming, you get this very dreary music and it builds up, and your heart starts to match that. All right. Or if it's a love story, it's very light and airy and you feel wonderfully warm inside. Music can affect us. There's research into solfeggio frequencies, which are specific frequencies. There's 396, 417. There's a whole bunch of them, and they each can do different things as far as how does it help us. So that's one of the things that we need to keep in mind. The other thing that we need to get into is also talking about speech. And this quote just came to me, and it was in the paper. Samuel Knight, and he's a holistic health junkie and an entrepreneur, says, "It is impossible to divide your thoughts from how you feel in your body. And every single thought that produces a biochemical reality which expresses the thought. Every thought and every emotion has a physical response and a physical indicator. So be very, very, very careful what you are thinking," which goes very much into what we're saying here. So why does emotional energy matter? First of all, it is going to decide whether we're happy or unhappy, all right? If we set ourselves up for that positivity that Angelo just finished talking about, we tend to be more productive and more successful. My affirmations this morning were very positive and upbeat. And while I was waiting for the doctor, I read 12 different articles, and it's like, I like, and I sent them to me. So I had an archive of them. The other thing is that this is free energy, and it's how we choose to use this free energy. Do we use it to work for us, or the power side, all those above 200 frequencies that Hawkins talks about, or do we use it to hurt ourselves or put it into the force side, which then is going to cause cellular demise and or death, right? The other thing is that we need to control our ego. Now, a lot of people think that ego is this thing. It's actually at our unconscious and subconscious areas. And the point is, and we've talked about this several times, is ego loves negativity. The more negativity it can get, the happier it becomes. And there may be a situation that you're experiencing, the ego kicks in, and I've said this multiple times, it is a rogue artificial intelligence. And based on just a few seconds, oh, yep, this is how it's going to go, and it sets up that mood, when in fact, it does not have to be that way. We need to control our egos. And that is challenging. And we've talked previously about the Matt and Ashley's book, The Inner Work of how how do you obtain that separation? So by getting control of your ego helps control your emotional energy. We'll talk about a few other things along the way. Now, it always sounds like we want to be on the positive side for cellular growth and renewal and prosperity. True. However, our bodies cannot physiologically maintain those high levels all the time. If we do, we get into adrenal cortex burnout. And that can become a life-threatening situation and can kill us. So what we need to do is we need to have these peaks and valleys. It's just how high and how low do we go? And learning how to control our emotions makes this so much easier to facilitate those swings so that it's not as hard on our body. Angelo, I think we can move on. So how do we stabilize this energy? Well, first and foremost, we need to find out what that trigger is. Let's identify it. It's either going to be a person, it's going to be a situation, or it's going to be a problem. And that problem may be, how am I paying my bills this month because I've had a work reduction, or I'm trying to put this toy together as we move into Christmas season and the instructions are not answering that. Sometimes we have to reorient the problem or just walk away and allow ourselves to de-escalate. So then we need to look on finding that solution. And sometimes we like to go back to what is familiar to us. And that is what we have done in the past. The problem is if we get stuck in the past, and this is a lot of times where our ego gets us in trouble, is we go back to what is familiar. And if we constantly go around that circle, think of that hamster in the wheel, all right? Does he get any further ahead? No. So if he were to step off the wheel and walk across, he could get to the other side of his cage. So we have to look for a solution that is going to be productive for us. Angelo. And this is something we don't do very well. Many of us are very altruistic type people, and we want to help others, but we don't put ourselves first. Angelo and I are giving you permission to be greedy and needy for yourselves. Put yourself first, all right? That doesn't mean that the rest of the world doesn't matter and you shouldn't do kind things for other people. But if you don't take care of yourself first and foremost, then you cannot adequately take care of other people's and other situations. And there are a number of good things on here is take note, and I've been doing a recount myself, is that when I'm in a funk, I tend not to eat well, all right? And I'm only propagating that negative feeling because I'm eating really crappy foods. As soon as I really start to focus on putting better nutrition into my body, particularly whole based foods, whole grains, fruits, vegetables that haven't been processed, my emotions start to feel, I feel so much more empowered and uplifted just by changing my diet alone. I also notice that the more I drink water. Now, do I put some flavoring in it? Yeah. That's where those essential oils, particularly the citrus-based oils, they're quickly invigorating. We often tend not to take care of our sleep cycles, and our brains need that downtime to process through and repair. So sleep is often disrupted. We need to make sure we get good quality sleep. We can be proactive by being physically active. One of the things that Samuel Knight also talks about is using a 5-point prong, and I'm not sure I can remember all of them, but one of them is to be physical, 2 is the nutrition, 3 is the hydration, 4 is dealing with the emotions head on and finding the proper way to deal with them. And then the spiritual side. And that makes so much sense and incorporates a lot of these things of self-care. And also you can see mindfulness, and we've talked about mindfulness quite a bit in the past. Now, have you ever been around somebody? Recently, a really dear friend of mine went through a relationship breakup, and I could hear it in his voice when we talked on the phone. But when I physically was in their presence, I could feel the drain because they were physically drained. But by sharing great times, I could feel his energy increasing, and he was more like himself. You probably have been around other people that sap the energy out of you, and they're energetic sponges. All right, we are energetic sponges, and so we have to be careful when we interact with people. Some people are just vampires, and they suck the ever-loving life out of us. So they say we can choose our friends, not our families. This is really important to come into play when we choose people that we wish to be around. Now, if we are forced, such as in a work situation around somebody, you need to learn how to center and ground yourself and put yourself in a protective bubble. And with practice, it is easier to do. You really want to be good with it, spend a lot of time with a narcissist. You'll really appreciate how important that becomes. Angelo. Now, I love Grumpy Cat, and I love this. No, it has become my new favorite word. For years, I would want to make people happy by saying yes, 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 yes. And you know what? I was draining myself. Now that I've learned to stand up and say no, and I can say it without feeling guilty, I am so much happier and better off for that. And again, Angelo and I, when we teach in EMS, we always ask the students, who is the most important person? So we give them the patient, the bystanders, our partner, and then of course ourselves. And most oftentimes, Angelo, what do the students respond with? Who is the most important person in that those 4 options?
They always think it's the patient is the most important person.
And the correct answer is?
It is you. You are the most important person in that.
Absolutely.
We keep forgetting that part.
Right. So there are a number of articles that all talk about these things. And the other thing is that we can get into some mind-body therapy. Now, brain spotting, EMDR, they're very similar. And what it's doing is it's forcing either bilateral eye movement or having you look into a certain gaze to trigger that emotion and recall it, and then processing through. That definitely needs to be done with a trained therapist in either brain spotting or EMDR. Somatic therapy really should be facilitated by somebody that understands the mind-body connection. There is more and more work that is coming out on trauma-informed yoga. There are other forms such as art therapy, music therapy, etc. Now, we've talked about biofeedback and a lot on meditation. There are some a lot of times that biofeedback requires some instrumentation. And then you would have to go to a facility and have this done. There is a device out there called Muse. And in the notes, I gave you the link, choosemuse.com, I believe it is. And what this does is it can watch your a form of an EEG, your electroencephalogram, so your brain waves. It can monitor your breathing patterns, it can monitor your stillness patterns, and it can monitor your heart rate and give you feedback on how well are you doing. It is a little bit on the pricey side, I will say that, but it can give you valuable information. They have pre-recorded tracks to help you meditate. At first, I use those, but now I just like using mine just in plain biofeedback mode, where I do all the work and choose what I want to do. And I find out now I'm finding that I get better results just being on my own. But again, I've been doing this for a little bit of time. Yeah, that's all I want to say about those. Angelo? So I love this. You do you. You need to find those things that make you happy. All right. Now, we are social creatures and we should have human interaction. However, there are times where it's okay to be alone and do some things as an individual or being solo. There are other times that you need to engage in groups and do those things. So that's a really important part. When you start engaging in doing things that you enjoy doing with other people, it's almost a contagion that the positive energy, positive attracts positive, as Angelo said, and it does occur. And there are a number of articles that address that laughter is the best medicine. There was an article that was just written yesterday that addresses this. And what it does is it activates laughter activates multiple parts of the brain all at the same time. It's a physical activity, as well as it works at the hypothalamus, it works at the limbic system, it works at the prefrontal and frontal cortex. It hits everywhere. And it also is very contagious. Watch people. If somebody starts to laugh, very quickly, everybody else is laughing. And feel yourself. When you first start, you can be that person that is sitting in the corner of the room with your arms crossed and people start laughing. And next thing you know, you're laughing. How do you feel? You feel a lot better. Angelo. So again, it comes back to what casting spells with our words. We think positively, we're going to talk positively, we're going to feel positively, and our behaviors become positive. We become much more productive. Going back to our
water crystals.
Yeah, Emoto. The fact that we are 70% water, we need to put our hands over our heart and say, I love you and I thank you. Set your own body up. If you can't have anything to drink, do that. But whenever you are about to drink something, wrap your hands around it. And while you should verbalize it out loud, kind of like we do with our intentions, if you're uncomfortable doing that, just saying that, the intention of you saying that I love you or thank you to your water or whatever beverage you're drinking. And they even have done this with coffee and found out positive things happen. Let's make that happen. So again, we need to set that intention. We need to move forward. And if we fail, which way do we fail, Angelo?
We will fail forward.
That's right. So, all right. I don't have my oils. I really need a boost. I'm not feeling so great. So I'm going to deal with the image on the left, and then I'll come over to the image on the right. And both are Modern Essentials and Essentials Life. There are sections that talk about the reflexology. What we know is that there are these energy channels in our body called meridians, and Eastern medicine has known this for thousands of years. And we also, with lots of studies, have found out that these meridians can be approached on our body. Our ears have been well mapped, our hands have been mapped, and our feet have been mapped out. But emotional freedom technique or tapping is becoming much more common. And I actually saw somebody sitting in a waiting room doing that the other day. And I smile because it's like, yes, somebody else is doing it. But what do we do for energy? So what we're going to do is we're going to inhale through our nose, and then we're going to exhale longer through pursed lips, like we're trying to blow out a candle. And we're going to start off with tapping at the very top of our center of our head. And we're going to do this for 30 seconds. And then we're going to come down and we're going to tap over our cheekbones for 30 seconds. And again, we're continuing that breathing in through our nose and then slowly out through our mouths, through those pursed lips. Then underneath the nose, okay, above the upper lip. And then we're going to tap where our collarbones and breastbone meet. And again, breathing through our nose, out through our pursed lips. And we're going to tap for 30 seconds. And then the center of our chest where our nipple line would be. And again, breathing for that 30 seconds and tapping for that 30 seconds. And just that little bit that as I was talking and hitting those points, I can feel a surge of energy. Now, ear reflexology. This is where you, to start off with this. The only caveat is if you are pregnant, we want to avoid going into the deeper inner part of the ear because stimulating some of those areas can release the hormones that can induce the delivery. And we don't want to cause that prematurely. All right. If there are some other issues, again, check with your healthcare practitioner, see if that's going to be an issue. But all in all, massaging these areas are pretty much safe to do. The only contraindication that I've ever seen is for pregnancy. Now, one of the things that you're going to do, if you can, is make Spock hands, and you're going to put it the index and middle finger behind the ear, and your ring and pinky finger in front of your ear, and you're going to slowly move up and down for 30 seconds. And again, we're going to be breathing in through our nose and out through pursed lips. And after we do that for 30 seconds, we're going to start at the earlobe. And with our index and middle, index and thumb, we're going to start massaging the earlobe. And we're slowly going to work our way around the outer rim of the ear. And we may have to change the position because our hands don't move the whole way around. All right, the whole way around. Get that piece of cartilage in front of the ear canal. Get that there. Then take our index fingers. And where we haven't been able to press with our thumb, we're going to move the whole way around the rest of the ear. And as I'm doing this right now, I'm feeling tingles throughout my whole body. And I can feel my energy kick up. It's a really, really quick boost to do this. So if you want to go to sleep, I don't recommend you doing this right now unless you have work to be done. So that's reflexology in a nutshell. Next slide, please. So that brings us towards the end, but think about, I love this quote from Joel Osteen. You have only so much emotional energy every day. Don't fight the battles that don't matter. And again, this is picking and choosing what is most important to me so that I can have the energy that I need to deal with those things that need to be dealt with. Angelo, it's yours.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and stop the screen share, bring us all back around. So what I was doing some of that ear reflexology with you, and I too was feeling a little bit of the kind of that energy boost that was going with that, and that tapping too. They were both working for me. I think this was pretty fascinating for me, and the fact that there are simple ways when I'm kind of in a funk, or if I need that little kick in the pants to get up and do something, a little bit of motivation. These are simple techniques I can use. I like that. Thanks for sharing those.
Yeah, and going back into the music, putting on that positive, upbeat music. If you're in an environment that you don't want to look weird by rubbing your ears or tapping, if you have your earbuds in, or you can listen to something that's energetic or something very positive. One of some of the research that I'm seeing is avoid anything that is written on 440 hertz. And that's what most of our mainstream music is built on. We want to find things that are in the 432 hertz frequencies, or one of those solfeggio frequencies, because it is really designed to, we are actually programmed on the 432 hertz, but those solfeggio frequencies will give you those positive outcomes a lot quicker. 440 hertz music, while it may be an upbeat music, in the background, your cells are like going, no, I don't like this.
Okay. I remember reading
You're
that.
laughing, Kay. I see that.
I remember reading that in that other paper that you had forwarded to me from a class we were going to do a long time ago, but
yeah,
never came to fruition. But I just, I knew frequencies played into energy. I just really didn't know how much studying had gone into that, and some of the results that we're finding on frequency waves and energy levels. It's pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah.
So that's all we got for you guys. Do you guys have any questions for us? I know tonight was kind of pretty technical, a little bit deeper than we usually go. But you can see where we kind of had to go there, because I hope it all made sense to you guys. You got a little bit of better understanding as to just how energy plays into everything. But any questions from you guys?
And I'm going to address our Roger here real quick. He's a licensed massage therapist. Any comments on the ear reflexology?
Me?
Yes, you.
Oh my gosh. There's reflexology of everything. I mean, I actually have I'm at my studio right now, and on my wall I have the hand reflexology back in the back in my therapy room. At the bottom of my table I have the foot reflexology thing, because I'm like, wow, they said their foot hurt here, right. And today I was actually working with someone who sprained their ankle, and I was there's muscles involved too in the foot. Sure. But the reflexology, it works. I mean, people love their feet rubs. I mean, either you do, you don't. These things are, some people learn this way, some people learn that way. It's the same thing. Every body is different, and the power to heal the body is within the body. And the clients live in their bodies, so their bodies know what it needs, and I'm just the facilitator that helps them get connected with that. Sure. The two things that I do is I teach people how to breathe, and I teach people to stretch.
And I think we've talked about that several times in this series, have we not, ladies and gentlemen?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, breathing, meditation, you're breathing in meditation. In yoga, you're breathing, you're matching your breathing with your movements. So, sure. I mean, the breath, I always say this, it's the first thing we got and it's the last thing we take. So
I like that.
And another little saying I have is, that stretching is a relaxation exercise. And the exhale is where the magic happens. It's you take that inhale, when you exhales, things elongate. It's like that's a stretch. So anyway, I do have a question.
Sure.
Unless there's more that you want to talk about here at the end.
No, that's what I wanted. Thank you.
We were talking about physiologically impossible to maintain highs would cause harm to the body.
Yes.
And Dawn, you said an adrenal, what kind of burnout? Adrenal.
So, adrenal cortex burnout.
Cortex, okay.
Yeah. So that's where our epinephrine and norepinephrine come from, and cortisol, and the
cortex.
body, the cortex. And
Yeah, okay.
so the body can only maintain those high levels for amount of time. Otherwise, it starts causing other physiological harm. And one of the things that we see, particularly like in our emergency service workers, and there's a lot of research that's coming out now with the post-COVID era, where physicians and nurses and other emergency responders that dealt with the COVID pandemic, they're finding significant amount of heart disease, and they're relating it to the adrenal burnout, that they had to just be working at those high intense levels for so long, and finally their bodies just gave out.
They died?
Some of them, yes. And some of them just became so physically ill, they couldn't do their jobs anymore because their bodies were literally fried from the inside out.
I might have had another question here. No, I'm good.
Okay.
I want to start laughter therapy. Like, it's laughter therapy, 10 o'clock this morning for 1 hour, we're going to do, it's the laugh class.
Sure.
You come in, someone's the moderator or whatever, and the only thing you're allowed to say is something that's funny. And you just go around the room and, it's controlled. I mean, this is just an idea that I have. I wanted to add that to the list of things at the yoga place where I went, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah. That's another story.
Yeah. All kinds of stories. To write a book.
Roger, there's actually a couple I ran into a few years back where that's their thing. They host basically gatherings where they just get together and they laugh.
Seriously, like that is just so needed. I mean, that is, one of the things that I do with, when I go to the bank, or if I'm like at a checkout counter, these people are working really hard. I mean, they need someone to boost their energy and, say, you start off saying, oh, I like your blouse, or, oh, how long you been here? Oh, whatever, you strike up a conversation. I mean, and treat them like a person.
Definitely.
And then make them laugh.
Right.
But you can't touch them, though. Don't touch them.
So, all right. Well, we did go a little bit over tonight, but that's okay. That was my fault because I did 10 minutes of blabbing before we got going.
We had a lot of things to cover too.
There's no blaming here.
No. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.